it's so true though, because like you actually mentioned it earlier that people might think design is about choosing a few cushions and matching it to a rug.
Yeah.
And I so agree with you that people do feel like that. And it's so far from the truth. And I often am talking to people and I'm like, design is like a multifaceted skill set from psychology, like understanding behaviors, like exploring people's strengths and helping them flourish, whether they're extrovert, maybe neurodivergent in some ways. And there's like business processes and how you want people to feel and how you want people to move and how you want people to collaborate or maybe not collaborate or whatever it is. And I'm like, it's not a curtain or it's not a rug or it's not a wall finish. It's like a psychology piece, like almost, and it's phenomenal when it works. It's just like it's the impact it has on how people think and feel and behave is massive, and then obviously in turn like ROI and stuff. So which is why people do it. But I just it's so what you said is just so hit like a hot button for me. I'm like so like yes, like it's not it's so important. It's so key.
Yeah, I think like exactly that, the psychology and make it how you can make someone feel in a space is just so important. And also in one space you can make people feel different emotions. So, you can create in a, in your reception areas, you might want it to feel really cozy and inviting, and you might want that essence of your brand or whatever to come to hit you really hard as you kind of come through the door. But, open plan, you might want it to feel like much more fresh and invigorating. And, you're going to be spending a lot of time there. So it kind of can't feel as kind of cozy and like all of these things. But I think that's part of understanding the client's brief and what they need and who they are as a company and what they also want their visitors to feel. So yeah, there's layers. Brief take is never just quantities on a spreadsheet, which sometimes you get. You really have to kind of dig into it and understand like who's coming to this space, how do you want them to feel? How does that reflect in the materiality and the colours and the lighting? Like lighting is so important. Um, can you adapt that through the day? Do we want it to be really bright in the day? Do we want to be able to tone it down for different points or different people? And I think the industry, the more it looks at flexibility and adapting its surroundings too, I mean, that's a whole kind of another topic. But yeah, it's cool to understand that you're such a big part of something.
Someone's life,
Yeah,
someone's
it's like quite so
success.
deep. So deep.
No, it is. Like I always think that, like I'm privileged to be able to touch people's lives because even now they go home from how they've been at work, it will impact how they go home
Yeah.
and their relationships, their night's sleep, their everything. Like it's the interior is so massive. It's like an honor to be like touching such a massive.
I think going back to how you were saying like the white paper style, I think a lot of it comes through like there's a real calmness. There's the tactile and the kind of feeling of like coziness, but and obviously not for every scheme, but I think it needs to for us quite often there's a big focus on do people feel like comfortable and calm in the workspace.
Yeah.
Um,
Is there a particular trend you're loving right now?
So, I think trends are really difficult in design because I love them and I'm, reading the magazines and articles. Like I'm such a design lover that it's really cool to stay up to date with trends. But I think you also have to really kind of know what does work and be able to pull like palettes together that are quite timeless and know how you can kind of just mix things up for people so that in 5 years time, if they really want to shake things up, they're not having to pull everything out and stick it back together. um but in saying that also, not everyone's taste is the same, so you have to also be able to kind of work with the client's preferences and their palettes and things like that. I would say more of a movement is moving, I guess, that more hospitality feel into the workplace. So how people now, and even that kind of residential style that we just touched on, making offices feel definitely more like how you'd want your house, or if you're going to go out for a coffee and things like that. I think that's been a real post-pandemic movement for sure, is now people are choosing to be in the office when they could be at home. So let's make sure again that that office space is really beautiful and not just a functional place.
I like that you mentioned the word movement though, because I do agree trends can be fleeting, they can be unsustainable, it can mean that you're ripping something out because it's out of fashion now and all that sort of thing, which and I hear that, like, whilst it's exciting, it can be detrimental. But
Yeah.
when you talk about a movement, like a shift in thinking, like, oh, now spaces don't have to be grey floors and walls and white desks. We can now actually incorporate something more. That's not just a trend. That's like people now changing how they work, and it's the modern world.
Yeah.
So I'm really glad you said the word movement because that's massive. Like that is what we're keeping up to date in a fresh, modern, adapted world.
Yeah.